On December 23rd in Los Angeles, something mysterious falls from the sky. It lands in a dark alley, revealing a pair of massive wings. It's the Archangel Michael, but he's in pain. With a cry, he pulls out a knife, his wings suddenly fall off, and his halo shrinks until it forms a collar that slips off his neck. Michael then crashes through a glass roof, knocking out a security guard to steal his clothes. In the bathroom, he uses a first aid kit to stitch up the wounds from his wings. Before moving forward, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It will help us keep bringing your favorite movie recaps. Dressed in the stolen clothes, Michael heads into a warehouse full of guns, grabbing as many as he can. The door's locked, so he uses his powers to make an explosion, creating a cross-shaped hole. Two cops see him and try to arrest him, but Michael grabs one, using him as a shield while disarming the other. Suddenly, the cop he's holding starts to shake violently, possessed by something dark. His eyes turn black, his teeth sharpen, and in a deep voice, he demands to know what Michael is doing. Michael responds, saying he's following his own orders now. The possessed cop warns Michael he will die with the child and opens fire, killing his partner. Michael dodges the bullets and takes down the possessed cop before escaping in a police car. As he speeds through the city, all the lights go out. Meanwhile, Jeep can't sleep, haunted by nightmares. His girlfriend Charlie, who is pregnant with a baby that isn't his, tries to comfort him, but he's worried. The next morning, Charlie's smoking when Jeep's father, Bob, scolds her. A man named Kyle stops by, lost with no phone reception, and a family's car is broken down, but Jeep is too distracted to help. Bob finds Jeep working on a crib instead of fixing the car, leading to an argument about why Jeep is taking care of a baby that isn't his. Jeep confesses he's been having strange dreams about Charlie, making him feel protective of her. Bob warns him that acting on feelings alone is a mistake, then goes back inside, only to find a TV screen showing nothing but static. He strikes it a few times, and an emergency message flashes on the screen. At the same time, Jeep spots huge, strange clouds creeping up on the horizon, growing bigger by the second. Inside the diner, they try the radio and the phone, but both are down. That's when an old woman named Gladys walks in. She orders, then casually chats with everyone. Meanwhile, Jeep tells Bob he doesn't have the parts to fix the family's car. When Charlie brings Gladys her order, the old lady asks her about her pregnancy, then suddenly says the baby will burn. Charlie is speechless, but Gladys repeats the chilling sentence with even nastier words. The whole diner is frozen in shock, and an upset Charlie quickly rushes out. Gladys, unfazed, digs into her meal, ignoring the flies buzzing around it. She repeats, "All babies will burn." When Sandra tries to confront her, Gladys insults her, and her eyes turn pitch black. Sandra's husband Howard steps up to defend his wife, but Gladys lunges at him, biting his neck and ripping out a large chunk of flesh. She flips a table and declares that everyone will die. Percy, the cook, throws a pan at her, hitting her in the head, but she barely flinches. In the blink of an eye, Gladys crawls up to the ceiling, dodging bullets when Bob opens fire. She lands close enough to slap and disarm Bob. Jeep tries to grab the gun, but freezes when she says, "You'll never save her." Gladys slides across the floor, aiming to attack him, but she falls dead when Kyle shoots her repeatedly. In a corner, Howard's daughter, Audrey, notices blood dripping from the ceiling. Afterward, they check on Howard, who's lost a lot of blood. They put him in Kyle's car and race off to find a hospital, but their way is blocked by a massive swarm of locusts. The tiny creatures quickly surround the car, crawling in through every crack and crevice, filling the vehicle and causing the passengers to panic. Back at the diner, Jeep is vomiting, and Bob reassures him that there's no shame in being unable to kill. Suddenly, they hear the car returning. Bob rushes outside to check, only to see the massive swarm of locusts swarming the sky. As the men pull Gladys' body out, they spot a police car approaching. When Michael steps out, Bob points his gun at him, but the angel shows them his teeth to prove they're not sharp. While Bob tries to explain himself, Michael realizes the people in the diner have no idea that the apocalypse has taken over. Michael snatches the gun from Bob and points it at him, but Percy steps in to calm everyone down. After a moment, Michael warns them that more people like Gladys will be coming soon. He gives Bob his gun back, then hands out weapons to everyone from the car, telling Charlie especially not to do anything foolish. They all rush inside the diner and barricade the doors with furniture. With nothing else to do, they wait. When night falls, the power goes out, so the men climb to the roof to watch for danger. They spot an ice cream truck nearby, and when the driver steps out, he screams loudly before his limbs start growing unnaturally long. The creature charges at the men, and they open fire, not stopping until it's down. But more cars start arriving, with people turning into monsters too. Michael orders everyone to fire, causing some cars to crash and explode. Michael uses a rocket launcher to trigger a second explosion, sending a big truck into another crash that blocks the road and causes more chaos. As the dust clears, the remaining drivers exit their cars and begin marching toward the diner. The group is horrified to see children among them. Michael reminds everyone to keep shooting. These people are no longer human. Dozens fall, but one attacker sneaks in through a window and hides in the shadows. Jeep, unsure where to shoot, watches as the enemy grabs Howard and drags him away. The women rush in to help, but another enemy sees Charlie and snatches her too. Michael quickly rushes to save her, cutting off the attacker's arm, but Howard is lost in the crowd of monsters. Michael starts shooting at the windows to scare off the intruders. Sandra is panicking, desperate to find her husband, but Michael has to break the news to her that Howard is gone. He also angrily scolds Charlie for her reckless actions, warning her to stay out of harm's way. Bob then demands an explanation. Michael reveals that God has turned against humanity and wants to wipe them all out, just like during the flood. The attackers were possessed by God's warrior angels, following his orders. Michael admits he was once one of those angels. Some of the group can't believe angels would act this way. And when Bob refuses to believe in God at all, Michael points out that God no longer believes in humanity either. He explains he's protecting Charlie because her baby is humanity's last hope. Even if they don't believe the story, they must protect her because the creatures will keep coming for her. Charlie is 8 months pregnant, and the baby will be born on Christmas. Later, Jeep privately asks Michael to tell him more about himself. Michael shares that he was once a general in God's army, but quit after disagreeing with God's latest orders. While God may have lost faith, Michael hasn't. Despite the world's darkness, he still sees hope in people like Jeep, who continue to fight for what they believe in. The next morning, Bob and Michael take the roof shift. Michael starts to remember how it all began. When he started defying God, the Archangel Gabriel argued with him, reminding him that humans deserve judgment because of their actions. Michael believed that angels were meant to guide people and show them the right path. He watched as thousands of angels filled the sky, ready for battle. Gabriel told him the war was happening, whether he wanted it or not. Meanwhile, in the diner, Sandra wakes up to the sound of her name being called. She goes to the back door to check it out and is horrified to hear Howard crying in pain. When she opens the door just enough to peek outside, she's shocked to see Howard crucified upside down, covered in painful boils, begging for help. Sandra rushes to move the barricade, but Percy and Audrey try to stop her. She pushes them aside and runs outside to reach her husband, whose boils are about to burst. Just in time, Percy steps in front of her to shield her from the explosion of acid, which badly burns his back. He manages to get Sandra back inside, but collapses on the ground, his back scorched to the bone. Bob mourns his friend's death, blaming himself for falling asleep during his watch. Later, Sandra is tied to a chair, and Audrey tries to feed her. But Sandra starts blaming Audrey for everything, since they had to move because of her. Just then, they hear a broadcast on the radio. Survivors across the country are forming militias to fight the possessed. The group wants to join them, but Michael refuses, saying it would put Charlie in danger. In private, Charlie confides in Jeep that she wanted to end the pregnancy, but waited too long. And by the time she went to the clinic, it was too late for the procedure. Charlie felt trapped by the baby and resented it. That night, the power comes back on at the diner. A car pulls up, and Kyle and Audrey get ready to shoot, but they lower their guns when they see the man and his son seem normal. However, it's a trap. The possessed turn the lights back on to lure the survivors out, and now they're surrounded. Kyle quickly slides off the roof and opens fire, hoping to save the child. Inside the diner, Bob wants to help, but Michael stops him, warning that opening the door would get them all killed. Kyle shoots his way through the attackers and reaches the boy, only to find the child is already possessed. The boy bites Kyle's neck, killing him. Audrey, desperate, jumps off the roof and starts shooting at the possessed. She runs out of ammo and hides inside the car, but the enemies quickly surround it. Charlie, furious that Michael isn't helping, threatens to go out herself. Reluctantly, Michael grabs weapons and joins the fight. He takes down the enemies using a mix of gunshots and hand-to-hand combat, without getting a scratch. Reaching the gas pumps, Michael shoots one to create a flamethrower, setting the car on fire. As the possessed back off, he walks through the flames, breaks open the car door, and rescues Audrey. They rush back into the diner, just in time to avoid the explosion. Charlie runs to the kitchen for water and finds the creepy kid sneaking in. The kid attacks her with a knife and wounds her, but Charlie uses a tray as a shield. The knife keeps bouncing off the metal, and in the chaos, the kid's thumbs get sliced off. When Charlie kicks him away, the child disappears and the power goes out again. Using flashlights, the group follows a trail of blood and spots handprints on the ceiling. Suddenly, the boy jumps on Bob from behind, trying to kill him. During the struggle, Michael grabs the kid and throws him off, giving Jeep the chance to shoot him dead. Charlie suddenly goes into labor, and Michael and Audrey rush to support her. As they help her through it, they hear loud horns echoing in the sky. On the roof, Jeep and Bob are stunned as they watch lightning strike, only to discover thousands of possessed people appearing out of nowhere. After a lot of struggle, Charlie gives birth to a healthy baby boy. However, she refuses to hold him and insists Michael take the child and raise him. But Michael tells her that this is her journey to finish. Audrey shows the baby to Sandra, who, remembering what it means to be a mother, apologizes to her daughter for her earlier attitude while secretly struggling with the ropes. When the baby starts crying, the sound reaches the possessed outside, causing them to feel pain in their heads. Then, the horn blasts again. Michael warns everyone that Gabriel is coming to end things. The group realizes Michael's original mission was to kill the baby, and he confirms it. However, he adds that the baby was never meant to be born, meaning the future, and God's will, can be changed. Feeling betrayed, Charlie tries to grab her son, but Sandra frees her hands and snatches the baby first. Sandra wants to offer him to the enemy in exchange for them leaving. The horns grow louder as a bright light bursts through the door. Michael opens fire on Sandra, making her drop the baby. Thankfully, Jeep catches him just in time. Then Gabriel enters, spreading his wings to intimidate. He attacks Jeep with his mace, but Jeep dodges it, and Bob starts firing. Gabriel uses his wings as a shield and spins, getting close enough to slash Bob's stomach. He throws Bob into the kitchen. Jeep tries to help, but Michael stops him, telling him to escape with the child. He urges Jeep to find the prophet and read the instructions, but Jeep is confused and doesn't understand what that means. Audrey, Charlie, Jeep, and the baby slip out the back door, only to find a crowd of possessed people standing still, heads bowed in silent respect. They don't move as the group walks past them and drives away. Inside the diner, Michael tells Gabriel that he doesn't care about his own fate now that the child is safe. He asks for a truce, but Gabriel refuses and attacks, starting another fight. Michael opens fire, but Gabriel dodges and counters with his mace and wings. Suddenly, their weapons clash in midair. Gabriel throws Michael into the wall and tries to finish him off by transforming his mace into a spinning saw. Michael fights back with powerful punches, even smashing a TV over Gabriel's head. The two angels exchange brutal blows, but Gabriel eventually finds an opening and slices Michael's stomach with his wing. Still not defeated, Michael disarms Gabriel and starts choking him. Gabriel lifts Michael off the ground, slamming him into the ceiling, grabs his mace, and finally kills his brother. As Gabriel weeps, Michael's body disintegrates into light and vanishes. At that moment, Jeep notices strange markings on his arm. They're Michael's final instructions. Then, Gabriel hears a noise and discovers Bob is still alive in the kitchen. Bob uses a lighter near the oven, triggering a massive explosion that hits Gabriel and everyone outside the diner. Moments later, Gabriel appears on top of the car and starts destroying the roof. Jeep fires at him, causing him to slip, but Gabriel hangs onto the trunk, refusing to let go. Audrey shoots a flare at him, but Gabriel knocks it off, sending it bouncing around the car. Gabriel climbs into the car, knocking Audrey to the floor and reaching for the baby. Jeep grabs his arm and fights back, speeding up to shake Gabriel off. Audrey tells Jeep to slam on the brakes. When he does, both she and Gabriel are thrown through the front window, and the car crashes down the hill into a ditch. Miraculously, the family is unharmed, and they climb out of the wreck to continue their escape up the mountain. Gabriel charges at them again, knocking Jeep down and demanding the baby. But Charlie refuses to give up her son. In response, Jeep tackles Gabriel, throwing him off the cliff. When they land, Gabriel pulls out a knife, ready to kill Jeep. Just then, a bright light interrupts him. It's Michael, restored to his full power as an eternal angel. Michael explains that while Gabriel always gave God what he asked for, Michael gave him what he needed. Gabriel tries to strike at Michael again, but now, with all his power, Michael easily takes him down. However, instead of killing him, Michael shows mercy, telling Gabriel that his lack of it was his downfall. Offended, Gabriel flies away, with Michael following. Michael tells Jeep that he is now the true protector. Finally, Jeep, Charlie, and the baby find a survivor settlement, preparing to raise humanity's last hope. That is how the movie ends. Please subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like. It really helps the channel. Thank you for watching.